Nico had always believed that space travel was full of surprises, but nothing could have prepared him for the world of Virelia. The moment his shuttle entered the planet's orbit, he was struck by the beauty of the cities that seemed to float above the ground, connected by streams of glowing energy. The buildings were tall and elegant, made of a crystal-like material that shimmered under Virelia's twin suns. He had heard stories of this planet, home to one of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, but seeing it with his own eyes filled him with awe. As the human ambassador, Nico's mission was simple in theory: learn about Virelian society, establish friendly relations, and share knowledge about humanity. In practice, it was anything but simple. Virelians were intelligent and curious, but their customs were vastly different from humans. Every step he took felt like walking a thin line between diplomacy and misunderstanding. Nico was escorted from the landing bay to the Grand Palace, a structure that seemed to float above a crystalline lake. The corridors were wide and polished, reflecting the soft light from hovering lamps. Strange creatures moved gracefully alongside him, their features delicate yet unlike anything he had ever seen. Virelians had tall, slender bodies, large eyes that reflected intelligence, and skin that shimmered faintly with colors that changed according to mood. Finally, he was led to a large hall where a feast was already prepared. Tables were covered with food that glowed faintly, a sign of Virelian culinary art, designed to nourish both body and mind. At the head of the hall stood Princess Ayla, young yet radiating a quiet authority. Her curiosity was apparent in the way her eyes scanned Nico, studying him as one might examine a rare artifact. She smiled politely, a small gesture that made Nico feel at ease despite the grandeur surrounding him. "Welcome, Ambassador Nico," she said, her voice melodic yet firm. "I hope your journey was comfortable." "It was smooth, Your Highness," Nico replied, bowing slightly. "Your world is breathtaking," Ayla inclined her head. "You will find that Virelia has many wonders. I am curious to hear about your world as well. Tell me about humans and how they live." Nico smiled. This was his opportunity to start bridging the two cultures. "Humans are diverse," he began. "We live in many types of environments, from deserts to oceans, and we build cities, farms, and homes. Our cultures are different, but we share common values: family, learning, and helping each other." Ayla listened attentively, nodding as she absorbed every word. Then, after a pause, she asked something that made Nico blink. "How frequently do humans mate?" The question was unexpected. Nico had studied diplomacy extensively, but nothing in his training prepared him for an alien princess asking about human reproduction at a formal dinner. He cleared his throat, carefully choosing his words. "Humans mate as part of building family bonds," he said slowly. "The frequency varies. Some people may do so often, others rarely. It depends on their feelings, health, and circumstances." The princess tilted her head, her large eyes widening in surprise. "I see, I did not expect such honesty. Most creatures hide their private matters, but you speak openly." Nico nodded. "Yes. Humans value honesty, especially when it helps others understand us. It is also important to respect privacy, so we usually do not discuss such matters unless asked." Ayla laughed softly, a sound that filled the room like a gentle breeze. It was not mocking, but genuine amusement and curiosity. "Your people are very direct. This is unusual for my world. Virelians are cautious even when asking questions. We fear causing discomfort." Nico relaxed. The ice had been broken. He realized that the princess's question, though unusual, was not meant to embarrass him. She was genuinely curious, and her laughter showed that she appreciated his honesty. "I suppose that is the benefit of two worlds learning from each other," he said. "We can speak freely and learn without fear." The rest of the dinner passed with a new energy. Princess Ayla asked about human customs, food, and traditions. Nico described celebrations on Earth, games children played, and the way families supported one another. The princess listened with fascination, occasionally asking detailed questions that showed her intelligence and willingness to understand. After the meal, the princess led Nico to a quiet garden within the palace grounds. The garden was unlike anything he had seen. Plants glowed faintly, and the air carried a soft hum of energy that seemed to respond to movement. Streams of water floated in midair, and flowers opened their petals as if greeting him. "You seem at ease here, Ambassador," Ayla said, walking beside him. "Do humans also appreciate such beauty in their gardens?" "We do," Nico replied. "Not always as advanced as this, but we create gardens and parks to relax, to enjoy nature, and to reflect. Ayla nodded thoughtfully. Humans are interesting. You value emotion, creativity, and connection. Many Virelians focus on knowledge, order, and perfection. Perhaps your kind understands more than we realized. Nico smiled. Humans learn from mistakes. We try, fail, and try again. That is how we grow. The princess paused, looking at him with a hint of wonder. I did not expect that humans would have such resilience. You speak of feelings and learning, yet you accomplish much despite your imperfections. This is admirable. As they walked, Nico realized the depth of her curiosity. Princess Ayla was not satisfied with superficial knowledge. She wanted to understand humans fully, their strengths, weaknesses, and the qualities that define them. Your honesty earlier, she said suddenly, about mating. It showed me something I did not expect. Humans do not hide their nature completely, and yet they are thoughtful. There is balance in this. Your species is more complex than I imagined. Nico nodded, sensing the importance of this moment. Complexity is part of being human. We are not perfect, but we are adaptable, caring, and capable of learning. That is what makes us human. Ayla smiled, a gesture that made her seem both youthful and wise. Then perhaps I can learn much from you. Not just about humans, but about living in a way that values connection and understanding. For the first time since he arrived on Virelia, Nico felt a sense of accomplishment. It was more than diplomacy. It was a meeting of minds and hearts across species. The princess's curiosity had opened a door, and he had stepped through carefully, showing respect and honesty. As night fell over the floating palace, the twin suns casting soft shadows on the garden, Nico realized that this was only the beginning. His mission was not just to teach the Virelians about humans, but to create a bridge between two worlds. And Princess Ayla, with her unguarded questions and open mind, might just become the key to that connection. Returning to his quarters, Nico reflected on the events of the day. He had navigated delicate questions, cultural differences, and formalities, yet he felt a sense of ease he had not expected. The princess's willingness to learn and laugh at surprises made him optimistic about what was to come. He knew the days ahead would bring challenges, but also opportunities to show the best of humanity. And in that moment, he understood something profound. Sometimes curiosity, honesty, and openness could accomplish more than technology or diplomacy ever could. The question about human habits had seemed shocking at first, but it had revealed a deeper truth. Connection was possible across the vast distances of space, if only one approached with sincerity and respect. As he drifted into sleep, the glowing garden outside his window seemed to echo that truth. Two worlds, so different yet so capable of understanding each other, had taken the first steps toward friendship. And Nico, the human ambassador, felt proud to be part of that beginning, ready to face whatever questions or challenges the next day might bring. The morning on Virelia was unlike any Nico had ever experienced. Light from the twin suns spilled over the crystal towers, casting sparkling patterns across the streets. The city hummed softly, a sound of energy flowing through its buildings and vehicles. Nico watched from his balcony, fascinated by how seamlessly technology and nature had blended on this planet. Floating gardens drifted over the streets, and citizens moved gracefully along paths that seemed to follow the flow of energy itself. Princess Ayla awaited him in the palace hall. Her expression was curious, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. "Ambassador Nico," she said, bowing slightly. "I hope you slept well. Today I would like to continue our discussions. I want to understand humans better." Nico returned her bow with a smile. "I slept well, Your Highness. I am ready to continue. Where shall we start?" Ayla gestured toward a large hall filled with objects and artifacts from her world. "I have many questions. But first, tell me about human daily life. What do humans eat? How do they spend their time?" Nico guided her through explanations of human routines. He described the variety of food humans eat, the simple joy of sharing meals, and the importance of family gatherings. He spoke of education, work, sports, and leisure, emphasizing how humans balance survival, learning, and enjoyment. Ayla listened intently, occasionally tilting her head as if trying to absorb every detail. "Humans do so much in one day," she said after a pause. "You build, create, play, and care for each other. On Virelia, many of these tasks are automated, so we have more time for study. Yet your kind seems to find energy and meaning in every action." Nico nodded. We find purpose in doing things together, in helping and learning. Work and play are both important because they teach us cooperation and creativity. The princess looked thoughtful.
It is fascinating that humans find joy in effort.
We often seek perfection with minimal struggle. Yet you seem stronger because of your imperfections and challenges. Nico smiled. We learn from mistakes. Every challenge helps us grow, and every success is more meaningful because of the effort we put in. Ayla's eyes gleamed with interest. Then perhaps humans are more adaptable than Virelians. We focus on perfection, but you focus on progress. To illustrate, Nico suggested a small experiment. He invited the princess and a few of her advisors to a demonstration of human-style problem-solving. He set up a simple exercise, a mechanical device with parts that needed to fit together but without detailed instructions. The Virelians observed carefully. At first, they tried to analyze the device as they would with a perfect machine, calculating and predicting each step. But when their attempts failed, they hesitated. Nico stepped in, showing them how humans often try, fail, and adjust. He encouraged them to test different combinations to observe and learn from each attempt. The result was remarkable. Within minutes, the Virelians began approaching the task with a new method, combining logic with experimentation. The device worked, and Princess Ayla clapped her hands in delight. "This is extraordinary," she said. "Humans embrace failure as a step toward success. Virelians fear failure because it disrupts order, yet your way produces results and teaches understanding. I see now why you value human effort so highly." Nico felt a surge of pride. This was exactly why he had come, to show the strengths of humanity beyond technology or raw intelligence. Humans' resilience, creativity, and adaptability were qualities that even advanced civilizations could admire and learn from. After the exercise, Ayla invited Nico to her private study. The room was filled with holographic displays, books, and artifacts from Virelia's history. She turned to him, her tone more personal. "Tell me about emotions. Humans feel deeply, yet you manage your lives. On Virelia, we often control feelings to avoid mistakes. Do your emotions ever hinder you?" Nico considered the question carefully. Emotions guide us. They can distract, yes, but they also inspire creativity, courage, and compassion. They help us connect with each other, make choices that reflect our values, and build communities. Without emotion, life would be efficient but empty. Ayla leaned back, her eyes reflecting both curiosity and contemplation. "I see. Humans embrace imperfection and emotion. You learn, adapt, and connect. Virelians strive for control and predictability. Perhaps your species teaches us something we have forgotten, the value of living fully, not just existing perfectly." For hours, the two discussed humans and Virelians, sharing perspectives on society, culture, and values. Nico found himself amazed at how quickly the princess grasped the nuances of human life. Her questions were never superficial. She sought understanding, empathy, and practical knowledge. As the discussion continued, Nico noticed other Virelian officials observing quietly. Their initial skepticism seemed to soften as they watched the interaction. The princess's respect for Nico, combined with his patience and honesty, was beginning to influence them. "I wish to know more about human communication," Ayla said. "How do humans express feelings without words? We rely heavily on logic and spoken language, but humans seem to understand gestures, expressions, and tones. How do you learn this?" Nico smiled. "We pay attention to each other. Facial expressions, voice, body language, and actions all convey meaning. Humans also tell stories, sing songs, and write poetry. These methods help us share feelings, experiences, and lessons. It is a way of connecting beyond simple words." The princess's eyes widened. "Stories and poetry. Fascinating. We do have art, but it is often functional or educational. Humans create for the sake of sharing emotion and experience. This is beautiful." Ayla leaned forward, her tone gentle. "Ambassador Nico, you teach me not only about humans, but about seeing life differently. You show me curiosity, patience, and respect. I begin to understand that strength is not only in knowledge or power, but in connection and courage." Nico felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This was what he had hoped for, to show the best qualities of humanity in a way that could inspire another civilization. "That is the essence of humans," he said. "We are imperfect, but we care, we learn, and we try to understand. That is our strength." The afternoon passed in similar discussions, moving from daily life to science, art, and even humor. Nico shared simple human games, and the princess laughed as she tried them, her movements graceful and quick. He introduced simple earth music, and she listened, tilting her head to the rhythm, fascinated by the sounds. By evening, a small group of Virelians gathered to participate in a cultural exchange. They tried simple human puzzles, learned a few phrases in English, and even attempted basic cooking techniques. Laughter and excitement filled the palace hall as the aliens discovered new ways of thinking and creating. Princess Ayla turned to Nico, her smile warm. Your people are remarkable. Humans are not only clever and strong, but also joyful, adaptable, and caring. I see now why this ambassador role is important. You carry not just knowledge, but the spirit of your world. Nico bowed slightly, humbled by her words. I am honored, Your Highness. I only show what humans can do when they care, try, and work together. The rest is up to understanding and cooperation. As the twin suns began to set, casting a warm glow across the floating city, Nico walked alongside Ayla through the gardens again. The air shimmered with energy, and the plants glowed faintly in response to their presence. You have given me much to think about, Ambassador, Ayla said. Virelians often look for perfection and certainty. Humans show us the value of effort, courage, and heart. I hope my people can learn this as well. Nico nodded. They will, Your Highness. Humans have a way of inspiring others not through force but through example. I'm glad you understand that. Ayla's gaze softened. I do, and I look forward to more lessons not just about humans but about how to live with curiosity and openness. Perhaps one day our worlds can share more than knowledge. Perhaps we can share friendship, cooperation, and respect. Nico smiled, knowing that this was only the beginning. The day had been filled with surprises, laughter, and insight. The princess's curiosity and openness had created a bond that would be important for the future of both worlds. As he returned to his quarters, Nico reflected on the day's events. He had shared knowledge, demonstrated human adaptability, and connected with a culture vastly different from his own. Yet he realized the most important lesson was mutual respect and the willingness to learn from each other. Humans and Virelians might be different in every way, yet both could grow stronger by understanding and appreciating the other. That thought gave Nico hope. He knew that the days ahead would bring more questions, challenges, and discoveries, but he felt ready. The bridge between Earth and Virelia was beginning to form, and he was proud to be its first ambassador. The night settled over the floating palace, the twin suns replaced by the soft glow of Virelia's moons. Nico felt a sense of calm and purpose. Curiosity, honesty, and openness had opened doors today. Tomorrow there would be new questions and new lessons. And he knew deep in his heart that humanity had much to offer and much to learn from this distant, wondrous world. The following morning, Nico awoke to the soft hum of the palace. Sunlight streamed through the crystal windows, casting colorful patterns across the floor. He prepared for another day of discussions with Princess Ayla, eager to continue the cultural exchange that had begun the previous day. When he arrived at the hall, he found Ayla already waiting, her expression serious but not unkind. Ambassador Nico, she said, I hope you are ready. Today will be more challenging. Nico raised an eyebrow. Challenging? In what way, Your Highness? Ayla smiled faintly. You will see. Some of my advisors are skeptical of humans. They believe that humans are unpredictable, emotional, and therefore unreliable. Today they will question your presence and your teachings. Nico nodded. He had anticipated skepticism. Every ambassador faced doubts, but he had learned that patience, honesty, and demonstration of skill often overcame suspicion. The hall quickly filled with Virelian officials. Their tall, graceful forms moved with precision, and their large eyes reflected both curiosity and doubt. Nico greeted them respectfully, bowing slightly as he did with Ayla. Ambassador, one of the senior officials said, her voice formal and measured, we are curious to understand why humans should be considered partners for Virelia. We value logic, predictability, and control. Humans are known for emotion and error. Why should we trust your species? Nico took a deep breath. This was the moment to show that humans were not just emotional beings, but adaptable, creative, and capable of cooperation. You are correct, he said calmly. Humans are not perfect. We make mistakes and we feel deeply. But we also learn, adapt, and support each other. Our strength lies in our ability to work together, think creatively, and face challenges with courage. Ayla stepped forward. They learned quickly. I have seen it with my own eyes. They approach problems with curiosity and persistence. Perhaps this is a quality Virelia has overlooked. The senior official raised an eyebrow. Curiosity is admirable, Princess, but how does it translate to practical skill? Words are not enough. Humans must demonstrate capability to earn trust. Nico nodded. Agreed, words alone are not enough. I propose a demonstration. He led the group to a training area within the palace. The space was large and open with various devices designed for problem-solving, agility, and teamwork. Nico had prepared a series of exercises that could show human adaptability, coordination, and logical thinking. The first exercise involved a puzzle, a complex machine with moving parts that had to be aligned to activate a light system. Virelian officials approached the machine with confidence, using precise calculations. However, the device required trial, observation, and adjustment, an approach unfamiliar to them. Nico demonstrated first. He adjusted pieces, observed the results, and made corrections. Within minutes, the machine activated. The Virelians watched closely, impressed but cautious. Your method relies on observation and adjustment, one official said. It is unorthodox. Virelians rely on calculation and perfection. Nico smiled. And that is why humans are adaptable. We learn from results, not just theory. We combine logic with observation and creativity. That is how we solve problems when perfection is impossible. The officials attempted the puzzle themselves. At first they struggled, trying to rely only on calculations. Nico guided them subtly, showing how to observe and adjust. Gradually they succeeded activating the machine. Princess Ayla clapped her hands in delight. See, she said, humans demonstrate learning through effort, observation, and adaptation. This is not chaos. It is method combined with creativity. Ambassador Nico shows us how to think differently. Encouraged by the success, Nico moved to the next exercise. This one required teamwork, a series of floating platforms that needed to be aligned so that a holographic map could be completed. Each participant had a role, but coordination and communication were essential. The Virelians approached cautiously, each working independently as they were trained. Nico observed, then suggested that they communicate and coordinate their movements. Slowly, the officials began to follow his advice, adjusting positions and timing. Within moments, the map completed, revealing a holographic model of the Virelian city. The officials looked at each other, impressed. This requires cooperation and flexibility, one said. Humans excel in these areas because they combine individual initiative with group effort. Princess Ayla smiled proudly. Ambassador Nico is correct. Humans have the ability to unite skills, observation, and communication to achieve success. They may be emotional, but their adaptability is extraordinary. The exercises continued. Nico introduced tasks that tested problem-solving under time constraints, creative thinking, and improvisation. Each time, the Virelians initially struggled but soon learned to apply human methods. By the end of the day, the officials were no longer skeptical. They were engaged, curious, and even enthusiastic. One senior advisor approached Nico after the exercises. I admit I doubted humans, she said. But I see now that they have strengths we underestimated. Their unpredictability is not a weakness. It is a form of creativity. They approach challenges with courage, flexibility, and cooperation. I apologize for my earlier doubt. Nico nodded. Thank you. Humans do make mistakes, but we learn and grow from them. That is our strength. Princess Ayla stepped forward. I am glad my people can see this. Humans are not only capable but inspiring. They remind us that life is not only about perfection or control, but about learning, adapting, and connecting. After the exercises, Nico was invited to dine again with the princess. The atmosphere was lighter than before, filled with laughter and discussion. Ayla asked about Earth's arts and games, and Nico shared stories of festivals, music, and celebrations. You speak of joy, effort, and creativity, Ayla said. Your people build not only for survival but for happiness. That is rare and admirable. Humans show us that life is more than rules and calculations. Nico smiled. We learn from living fully. Challenges and failures are opportunities to grow. That is why we celebrate achievements, big and small. As the evening progressed, Nico noticed that even the skeptical officials were asking questions and participating. They were learning not just about humans, but about a different way of thinking, one that valued adaptability, cooperation, and courage alongside logic. Princess Ayla leaned closer to Nico. Your people are remarkable. You demonstrate qualities that my people often overlook. Strength is not only in perfection but in curiosity, effort, and understanding. You teach us humility and courage at the same time. Nico felt a warm sense of pride. He had not only represented Earth but also shown humanity's unique qualities in a way that resonated with an advanced civilization. This was the essence of HFY, humans impressing through intellect, courage, and adaptability, not domination or force. Later, he walked through the palace gardens, reflecting on the day. The sun was setting, casting soft golden light over floating plants and glowing streams. Ayla joined him, her expression contemplative. "Ambassador," she said quietly, "today I saw humans in action, not only speaking but thinking, solving, and connecting. Your people show that life is about balance, strength, effort, and compassion. Viralia has much to learn from this." Nico nodded. "I hope these lessons inspire your people. Humans may not be perfect, but we are resilient, cooperative, and capable of creativity and courage. That is our gift," Ayla smiled. "It is more than a gift. It is a bridge. Humans and Virelians are different, yet we can understand each other. We can learn from each other. Perhaps this is the start of something greater." Nico felt a sense of fulfillment he had never known. Diplomacy was often about negotiations, rules, and agreements. But here on Virelia it was about understanding, sharing, and inspiring. It was about showing humanity's best qualities and learning from another world in return. As night fell and the twin moons of Virelia glowed softly, Nico understood that challenges would continue to come. Doubt, misunderstanding, and conflict were natural between different civilizations. But he also knew that patience, honesty, and demonstration of human strengths could overcome skepticism. Princess Ayla's curiosity and open mind had made this possible. Her willingness to learn, to question, and to see beyond appearances was rare, even among Virelians. And Nico felt privileged to guide her and her people toward a new understanding of humanity. As he prepared for sleep, Nico reflected on the day's lessons. Humans' unpredictability, emotional depth, and adaptability had not been weaknesses, they were their greatest strengths. By showing these qualities he had earned respect, trust, and even admiration from the Virelians. And in that reflection, he realized something profound. Diplomacy was not just about words or agreements. It was about demonstrating character, courage, and the ability to connect across differences. Humans could achieve what technology and logic alone could not, bridging worlds through understanding and inspiration. With this thought, Nico closed his eyes, feeling both pride and anticipation. Tomorrow would bring new questions, new challenges, and new opportunities. But he was ready, confident that humanity's unique qualities could continue to impress and inspire, no matter the planet, the culture, or the challenge. The next day began with a sense of normalcy in the floating city of Virelia, but that calm would not last. Nico had planned another day of cultural exchange with Princess Ayla, unaware that the city itself was about to present an unexpected test. The first signs came during breakfast. A soft vibration ran through the palace floors, subtle at first but steadily growing stronger. The crystal towers outside the windows reflected the sunlight, but now their edges shimmered nervously as if reacting to the disturbance. Princess Ayla looked out the window, her expression shifting from curiosity to concern. "What is happening?" Nico asked, noting her tension. Ayla's eyes widened. "A section of the city's floating platforms is destabilizing. This rarely happens, but it can be dangerous if not addressed quickly." Nico's mind went to work immediately. He had not expected a disaster, but his human training in problem-solving and crisis management kicked in. "Show me the affected area," he said, grabbing a communicator to receive details from palace staff. They moved swiftly through corridors filled with glowing energy streams. Technicians and guards rushed past, their usual calm replaced by urgent action. Nico observed the protocols, noting how precise yet rigid the procedures were. Virelians relied on systems and calculations, which were mostly effective but slow to adapt to unexpected changes. Ayla led him to the edge of the floating city, where platforms hung above the glowing lake below. A section of the city was wobbling dangerously, its energy stabilizers malfunctioning. Citizens nearby were being guided to safety, but the problem required immediate intervention to prevent collapse. Nico surveyed the situation, He saw that the stabilizers had failed in a sequence that Virelian's rigid protocols did not account for. Humans often approached problems with flexibility and improvisation, and Nico knew this was his opportunity to demonstrate human ingenuity. "We need a temporary solution to stabilize the platforms," he said. "Virelians rely on exact calculations, but sometimes improvisation works better. I can guide a team to reinforce the stabilizers while technicians continue their work." Ayla nodded. "I will support you. My people will follow your instructions." With that, Nico organized a group of volunteers, both humans and Virelians. He explained a simple plan. Use flexible supports to temporarily hold the platforms, redirect energy flows to maintain balance, and coordinate continuous adjustments based on observation. The plan relied on quick thinking and teamwork rather than perfect calculations. At first, some Virelians hesitated. Their instincts were to follow established procedures, but Nico's calm confidence reassured them. "Trust the process," he said. "Observe, adapt, and adjust. We will succeed together." The team moved into action. Floating supports were placed carefully under the wobbling platforms. Humans and Virelians worked side by side, communicating constantly. Energy flows were redirected and stabilizers were monitored. Nico guided each step, encouraging improvisation when unexpected problems arose. The platforms began to stabilize, but a sudden surge of energy caused one section to dip dangerously. A human volunteer quickly adjusted a support, holding the platform steady until the energy balanced. The Virelians watched in awe as quick thinking prevented disaster. Princess Ayla observed from a safe distance, her eyes wide with admiration. "Humans act decisively when faced with danger," she said. "They are not controlled by fear but by understanding, courage, and teamwork." The situation intensified as another platform began to wobble. Nico quickly calculated a solution, directing both humans and Virelians to create a counterbalance. The collaboration worked. The platform stabilized completely and the city was safe. A cheer rose from the citizens who had been observing from safe points. Even the skeptical officials were impressed, some bowing their heads in acknowledgement of human skill and courage. The senior advisor who had doubted Nico the previous day approached him. "Ambassador," she said, voice filled with respect, "I admit I underestimated humans. You do not rely solely on rigid methods. Your flexibility, observation, and cooperation have saved lives today." "I apologize for my doubts," Nico nodded humbly. "Thank you. Humans make mistakes, but we learn quickly and act together. That is our strength." Ayla stepped forward, her eyes shining. "I have watched many civilizations, but humans are remarkable. You act with courage, adapt to unexpected challenges, and work together without hesitation. You have proven that humans are more than capable allies." The city gradually returned to normal. Citizens resumed their daily routines and technicians repaired the stabilizers permanently. Nico remained with Ayla, walking through the quieted streets. The floating platforms gleamed in the sunlight, now secure and steady. "You have done more than solve a problem," Ayla said softly. "You have shown my people the value of creativity, courage, and teamwork. Humans inspire not by perfection, but by heart and adaptability." Nico smiled. "That is the way humans operate. We learn from challenges, help each other, and continue moving forward. Strength is not only in knowledge, but in action and cooperation." The princess looked thoughtful. "Your people do not hide weaknesses, yet you use them to grow. Virelians often seek to avoid mistakes at all costs. Today, I see that mistakes can be opportunities, and adaptability is more valuable than rigid perfection." They reached a quiet garden, where plants glowed softly in the late afternoon sun. Nico sat on a low stone bench, exhausted but satisfied. Ayla joined him, her expression gentle. "Ambassador Nico," she said, "today has changed my perspective. Humans are capable of more than I imagined. You teach us that courage, observation, and collaboration are as important as knowledge or rules. I will remember this day for a long time." Nico nodded. "And I will remember it too. It is rare to see a civilization so willing to learn and adapt. You and your people have shown that curiosity and openness can achieve great things." As the evening approached, the palace held a small celebration to honor the efforts of those who had helped stabilize the city. Humans and Virelians mingled, sharing stories, food, and laughter. The mood was lighter, filled with a sense of accomplishment and camaraderie. Princess Ayla raised a glass in a quiet toast, to humans and Virelians working together. Today we have learned the value of courage, flexibility, and heart. May this friendship continue to grow. Nico joined the toast. To cooperation, understanding, and learning from one another. Humans and Virelians can achieve great things together. The night settled over the floating city, twin moons casting soft light over calm waters and glowing platforms. Nico walked through the gardens again, reflecting on the day. The challenge had been unexpected, but it had revealed something important, not just to the Virelians, but to himself. Human qualities, adaptability, courage, teamwork, and creativity could solve problems even where technology or rigid procedures failed. This was the essence of HFY, humans impressing not through power alone but through intellect, heart, and resilience. Princess Ayla joined him once more, her expression calm but thoughtful. Ambassador, humans teach us that life is about more than perfection or control. It is about effort, courage, and connection. Today you have proven that humans are a species to respect and admire. Nico smiled, feeling a deep sense of pride. We are not perfect, but we try. And when we work together, we can accomplish great things. That is what makes humanity strong. Elia nodded, her eyes reflecting both admiration and hope. Then perhaps this is the start of a lasting understanding between our worlds. Humans have much to offer, and Virelia can learn from you as well. As they walked back to the palace, the glowing streams of energy and floating gardens seemed to shine even brighter, reflecting the bond that had begun to form between two civilizations. Nico understood that today had proven more than human skill. It had shown that humanity's spirit could inspire, protect, and connect across worlds. The night was quiet, but the lessons of the day would echo for a long time. Humans had demonstrated courage, creativity, and cooperation. Virelians had witnessed the value of heart and adaptability. And Princess Ayla had seen firsthand why humans could be both admired and respected. Nico returned to his quarters, tired but fulfilled. The crisis had been a test, and humanity had passed with flying colors. He knew challenges would continue, but he felt confident. With honesty, curiosity, and the ability to adapt, humans could continue to impress, inspire, and build bridges across the galaxy. As he drifted to sleep, he thought of the floating city, the glowing platforms, and the trust that had been established. One day he knew, this bridge between Earth and Virelia would grow stronger, built not on force or domination but on understanding, courage, and the unique strengths of humanity. And in that quiet moment he felt a deep sense of pride. Humans were not perfect, but they were capable of greatness, and today they had proven it. The morning after the crisis felt peaceful. The twin suns of Virelia bathed the floating city in soft golden light. Citizens walked through the streets with a renewed sense of calm, knowing that the dangerous wobbling platforms had been stabilized. Word of the human ambassador's ingenuity and bravery had spread, and even those who had been skeptical now spoke of Nico with respect. Nico himself awoke with a sense of quiet satisfaction. The previous day had been a test not only for him but for humanity as a whole. The Virelians had seen the strength of humans through action, adaptability, courage, and teamwork. He now had the chance to cement that impression and begin building long-term cooperation. Princess Ayla awaited him in the palace gardens. The floating plants swayed gently, casting colorful reflections on the glowing streams of water. Ambassador Nico, she said, her tone warm, today I want to discuss the future. Not just your presence here, but how humans and Virelians can learn from each other continuously. Nico nodded. I agree, Your Highness. Friendship and understanding take time, but they can last for generations if nurtured. Ayla gestured to a small group of Virelian officials who had gathered. I have called them here to witness what humans have to offer beyond crisis management. Ambassador Nico, will you teach us more about human culture, problem-solving, and ways of thinking? I would be honored, Nico said. Learning is mutual. Humans can share our experiences, and we can also learn from Virelia's wisdom and technology. The day was filled with demonstrations, discussions, and experiments. Nico shared more about human problem-solving methods, emphasizing adaptability, observation, and cooperation. He explained simple scientific experiments, storytelling techniques, and even games that humans use to teach logic and teamwork to children. The Virelian officials participated eagerly. At first, they struggled with improvisation, but with Nico's guidance, they learned to combine logic with creativity. Their movements became more fluid, their decisions faster and more effective. The princess watched with a growing smile, clearly proud of her people's progress and Nico's teaching. By afternoon, Nico introduced a larger exercise, a city simulation. The Virelians were divided into teams, tasked with responding to a simulated disaster, designing solutions and communicating effectively. This exercise required both human and Virelian ways of thinking. As the simulation progressed, it became clear how complementary the two species were. Humans approach problems with observation, quick adaptation, and flexible thinking. Virelians provided precise calculations and long-term planning. Together, the teams achieved solutions far more effective than either could have managed alone. Princess Ayla clapped as the simulation concluded successfully.
See what humans bring to the table?
Not just action, but perspective, courage, and creativity. And see what your people can learn from Virelia? Precision, order, and foresight. Together we are stronger. Nico smiled. Exactly. Cooperation allows us to combine our strengths. Humans are adaptable and brave, but we also need knowledge and planning. Virelians excel in those areas, and your willingness to try new methods shows great wisdom. The day's lessons continued with discussions about philosophy, ethics, and art. Nico showed Virelians human poetry, music, and storytelling. They were fascinated by how humans could convey emotion, humor, and wisdom through words and performance. The princess asked many questions, showing genuine curiosity about human culture and human thought. You have much to teach us, Ayla said thoughtfully. Not only about actions, but about the heart and mind. Humans embrace imperfection yet grow through effort. They connect with others and find joy in simple things. We often forget these lessons while focusing on perfection. Nico nodded. Humans are not perfect, but we try. We value learning, connection, and courage. Those are qualities that can help any civilization thrive. As evening approached, Elia suggested a quiet walk through the floating gardens. The glowing plants shimmered under the twin suns' fading light, and the streams reflected soft colors across the pathways. Ambassador Nico, she said, her tone reflective. I have learned much from your people. I see courage, adaptability, and heart, but I also see humility and patience. Humans can act decisively when necessary, yet they are willing to learn and respect others. This is rare in any civilization. Nico felt honored. Thank you, Your Highness. I believe these qualities come from necessity and experience. Humans must work together to survive, to thrive, and to achieve goals. Through that, we learn empathy, understanding, and courage. Elia nodded. Then perhaps our worlds can share more than knowledge. Perhaps humans and Virelians can share friendship, cooperation, and mutual respect. Nico smiled. That is my hope as well. Understanding and trust take time, but they can last for generations if nurtured. And I believe today is one of the first steps toward that bond. The princess led Nico to a terrace overlooking the city. Below, floating platforms glimmered. Citizens moved gracefully and energy streams hummed softly. The city had survived the recent crisis, strengthened not only physically but also in spirit, by the cooperation and courage of two very different species. Ambassador, Ayla said, your people have shown us that life is more than control and calculation. Strength lies also in curiosity, effort, connection, and heart. Today, humans have left a permanent impression on Virelia. Nico felt a sense of fulfillment he had never known. That is what humans do when given a chance. We may be flawed, but we are capable of great courage, creativity, and cooperation. And with trust, we can build bridges across any divide. As night fell, lanterns lit the floating gardens, casting a gentle glow. Nico and Elia walked quietly, speaking softly about Earth, Virelia, and the possibilities for the future. The princess's curiosity seemed endless, and Nico realized that this bond of learning and respect would continue to grow. Later, in a formal gathering, Princess Ayla addressed her people and the visiting humans. Today, she said, we have witnessed the courage, creativity, and adaptability of humans. They show us that life is not only about perfection or control, but about learning, connection, and heart. Humans are worthy partners and friends. Let us honor this bond and continue to learn from each other. The audience, both Virelians and humans, applauded. Even those who had doubted humans before now acknowledged their value. Not just in technology or action, but in character and spirit. Nico stood quietly, proud that his people's qualities had been recognized and respected. After the gathering, Princess Ayla spoke to him privately. Ambassador, humans have taught me much. Your courage, adaptability, and compassion are lessons for Virelia as well. I hope you will stay longer and continue to guide my people, not only in knowledge but in understanding life in a broader sense." Nico smiled. "It would be my honor, Your Highness. Humans can share what we know, and we can also learn from your wisdom. Together, we can achieve much more than alone." The princess nodded, a gentle smile lighting her face. "Then let this be the beginning of a lasting friendship. Humans and Virelians, learning from each other, inspiring each other, and working together for a brighter future." In the following days, Nico continued his lessons and cultural exchange programs. Virelians began incorporating human methods into their own routines, blending flexibility with precision, creativity with logic. Humans were invited to explore more of the floating city, to share stories and to teach skills that complemented Virelian knowledge. Princess Ayla became a true bridge between the worlds. Her respect for humans and her willingness to embrace their ways inspired her people to be more open, curious, and cooperative. Nico watched with pride as humans and Virelians worked side by side, learning from each other and creating solutions that neither species could have achieved alone. One evening, as the twin moons of Virelia cast a gentle glow over the city, Nico and Ilya walked in the gardens. The platforms floated silently, glowing streams reflected the light, and the air was filled with a sense of calm and achievement. "Ambassador Nico," Ayla said softly, "I will never forget the lessons your people have taught us. Courage, adaptability, cooperation, and heart, these are qualities we now value more deeply because of humans. Your people have left a permanent mark on Virelia." Nico smiled, feeling the weight and honor of her words. "And your people have shown that wisdom, openness, and willingness to learn are just as important. Together, we have built understanding and respect." Ayla nodded. "Then let this friendship grow. Let humans and Virelians continue to inspire each other, to learn from each other, and to face challenges together. This is the future I wish to see." Nico felt a deep sense of hope. Humanity had proven itself not through force or domination, but through courage, creativity, and cooperation. Virelia had witnessed the strength of the human spirit, and a lasting bond had been formed, one that would shape both worlds for generations. As he returned to his quarters that night, Nico reflected on the journey. From the first unexpected question about human habits to the crisis that tested courage and ingenuity, every moment had shown the best of humanity. Curiosity, honesty, effort, and heart had impressed an entire civilization and created trust that would endure. He knew challenges would continue, but he also knew that humans could rise to meet.